welcome to night 2. I don't know, well, problems finding my camera. Night 2 of the 31-ish streams of horror for October 2017. Last night we looked at Ken Seiden, a Sega Master System platformer where you played as a samurai that killed a bunch of medieval ghosts. Tonight I'm going to be playing a little bit of Castlevania Circle of the Moon, which is a game probably I would say people are probably more familiar with. I haven't played this game much since it came out in 2001. I bought a Game Boy Advance by selling a bunch of my old PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 games. Right around the time that I was first starting college. The plan was that I would, buy a Game Boy Advance, and then it would give me something to do in my off time while I was at school. I could find a quiet place and play some Castlevania. Unfortunately, I was super hyped for this game. I'd heard really good things about it. Unfortunately, the color palette in this game is really dark, and the Game Boy Advance had no backlight. Obviously, this is the OG Game Boy Advance, and the screen on that thing's kind of shitty to begin with, and it had no backlight, so it was basically impossible to play this game unless you were sitting on the surface of the sun, or had like a super bright trouble light that you could duct tape to your forehead or whatever, which is kind of a bummer. It means that I just found it basically impossible to get into this game. It could have been the best Castlevania game of all time, and it just was unplayable for me in that state, and I kind of gave up on it. I eventually went back and played Aria of Sorrow on an OG Nintendo DS, and that game was fantastic. I went, and I did end up playing some of this too around that time, but Aria had direct ties to the Nintendo DS Castlevania game that had come out, so it felt more important to play that one at the time. Whereas this is more of a side story. It's a Dracula. I've waited for this moment. And actually, I went back and I think I actually streamed a little bit of it, but I went back and played a bunch of Castlevania Aria of Sorrow recently. I didn't quite get to the end, but I played through like 80% of it or something. I unlocked most of the main map. And that game held up really well. I think that one of the game's biggest strengths is the monster summoning system, and one of its biggest weaknesses is that you have to grind to get most of the really cool monsters, which is kind of a bummer. So, coming off of that is part of the reason I wanted to go back to this one. And also, Heather Alexandra wrote an article for Kotaku that posited that Castlevania Circle of the Moon was secretly the best Castlevania game. Which, like I said, given my experience at the time, I was not in a position to make a judgment one way or the other, because it was just impossible to see the game unless you had ideal lighting conditions. And then when I returned to it, it just, I was not as into it as I was Aria of Sorrow. And I don't think I ever actually ended up finishing it. So from that perspective, I would say that for me, this is probably, out of the, probably not even a top 1 or 2 of this style of Castlevania. And I have, I think Rondo of Blood and Castlevania 3 would round out my actual top 3 Castlevania games. It'd be like Symphony of the, like, I don't know, I guess Rondo might be 1, and then Castlevania 3 and Symphony of the Night tied for 2nd place. And then Aria of Sorrow, and then, I don't know. I don't think I ever played Harmony of Dissonance, and the DS sequel to Aria was had those infuriating sections where you had to draw something on the screen in order to defeat a boss, and there was a boss that was basically Jiminy the Cricket, and you had to draw a pentagram on the screen to finish him off, and I just could never get the fucking DS to take my pentagram. I don't know if it's because I couldn't draw straight enough lines, or if the touchscreen just... I feel like I'm not the only person that's had problems finishing off the bosses in that game. And he was a difficult boss to begin with, so the fact that you'd like go through this marathon of a fight and then have to do this infuriating mini game in order to actually like finish him off was just such an insult. And after I failed it the 3rd time, and this was probably like after dozens of tries of trying to actually beat the boss, I just kind of gave up. So other than that, that game is really good, but that mechanic is so bad and unpleasant that it prevented me from ever finishing that game. But so those games had the soul collecting thing. Symphony of the Night obviously had the various, you know, you collected armor, and you collected various power-ups basically for Alucard, where you could turn into a bat or a wolf, and that was how you unlocked the various areas of the castle. There was also some items, right? Like you could get a snorkel, which is called the Holy Symbol, which is just a fantastic bit of like incongruity. But it let you traverse water, so it was very helpful. And I think this game had some kind of a weird card matching system. The dual setup screen, yeah, so I don't have any cards yet, but I think you can like mix, like you can add an attribute card to an action card to create different effects, and then as you collect them, you get traversal powers and combat abilities. It's definitely an interesting idea. Man, it really sucks that I can't hit these poison worms when I duck and a whip. But in that Kotaku article, Heather was actually really positive about that system. But like I said, I don't really have the experience to say one way or the other whether or not it's you know, better than just finding items, or I'm sure it's better than grinding for souls, although I don't think it has quite the variety of power-ups that the Aria of Sorrow games have. But I mean, like, you can see even you know, streaming it in 720p at 60 frames per second, like the character sprite is pretty, you know, it's like brown and teal, and the background is also, you know, like various shades of brown. So if you didn't have a well-lit screen, it was really difficult to distinguish your character from the backgrounds, and it was also made it very difficult to pick out enemies as well. I don't really remember where I'm... I guess it's just, there's not much story in this one, huh? That's good. That's one of the worst things about the Sorrow arc. Got some dash boots. Double tap to perform a dash move. Nice. I don't think I have any items, do I? No. No cards. I have these. attack, special move, DSS. Hold on. Yeah, I don't have either of those. I need to find a save point to get my health back. Can I dash? And I think I can jump farther when I dash. There we go. One of the weird things about emulating these games, any kind of Game Boy Advance game, is that the Game Boy Advance ran at like a weird frame rate. So I've always found that GBA games like look a little weird and hitchy when not being played on a screen that's right for that. Even playing them on a DS, they looked a little weird. Part of that is also it had a weird aspect ratio as well. I don't remember what it is offhand, but the Game Boy Advance just had a weird, bad screen. Oh no, I can't fight the Earth Demon again. Let's try down here. Hey, what's up, Coffee?
I saw you're playing Circle of the Moon.
I am playing Circle of the Moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember much about this game, honestly. This was, as I was saying on the stream, like I bought a Game Boy Advance when I first started college, but the screen was so bad that I couldn't play, and the palette in this game was so dark that I just couldn't play this game. Like I couldn't see what was happening.
Replaying it from start to finish when the Game Boy SP came out.
Yeah.
What do you think of it?
Do you like it?
I remember putting a lot of hours into it because it was very grindy at a certain point.
Is it?
Like, I think some of the card drops were random chance.
Oh, okay.
And I'm a completionist. The one thing I do remember is a lot of the... I know, shocking. And one thing I remember is a lot of the rooms are super bland.
Are they?
And I didn't like that. A lot of them are just squares.
Okay.
Like, I mean, that's every Castlevania, but...
Yeah, well, I mean...
There are certain rooms where it's literally like one monster and then like 15 staircases that lead nowhere.
Yes.
Like, I didn't like the level design in this game.
I think some of that was just it being simplified. I mean, it's really hard to compare any of the portable games to Symphony of the Night because that game has such a complex map with all kinds of weird, like, there's so much. There's the sheer amount of art in that game is just like utterly ridiculous.
Aria came probably the closest.
Yeah, I just finished. Or I think you were there when I streamed that the other night, and then I played. I ended up playing through most of that, and that game still holds up. Although that game is really grindy too, because like you get enough stuff to finish the game just playing it, but if you want to get all the cool power-ups, you still have to...
That's the same thing with this, where, like, the card... It gives you the necessary cards.
Yeah.
But if you want the good stuff, you have to grind for it.
Ugh. Video games.
But this was one of the Game Boy Advance games I put a lot of time in, just because it was something mindless to do, I guess.
Yeah, just run around and whip some dudes.
Yeah. Like, you got right there, like, that was one of the random drop cards, I think.
So how do I... Isn't it
so
L&R
you have to,
oh, there we go, okay.
One of the triggers, but you have to have one of each card to actually make use of it.
Yeah, does it tell you what they do?
Not till you use it once.
Oh, okay.
So I think the one you got makes your whip
whip
now.
Fire whip, yep. That's pretty good. That's a cool looking fire whip, let me tell you. Is it, okay, so every time I use it, it's sucking up my MP juice, but then that recharges over time. Alright, that's pretty cool.
So, like, all the cards have different effects. I think one of them turns your character stone, like, gives you more defense, but also makes you slower.
Okay.
So...
Stone Skin, classic D&D spell.
Yes.
Man, I really need a save room. I am hurting for health here.
I also remember this game being incredibly hard.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, like
it's super
that dude, that Earth Golem that I fought right off the bat, like, he was fucking me up.
A lot of the bosses are super unforgiving from what I remember.
As long as I don't have to draw a pentagram after I beat Jiminy the Cricket, or Jiminy
No, I think one of them...
Cricket. Then
like, it's been so long since I played it, but I want to say one of them required you to do, like, super jumps while also fighting the boss. Like, the down-up super jumps from Symphony of the Night.
Oh, yeah. Great.
but that's like one of the later bosses, and I don't remember if it was just like to get to the boss or to fight the boss itself, but I remember that part being kind of obnoxious.
So what do you think of? I know you probably didn't see the article. I must be Joe linked to it or somebody.
I saw the article, but
He's
I
the
didn't
only
read
one
it.
that I would think of that would, in my Twitter feed, that would link to a classic game review. But
I wouldn't say this is a bad Castlevania, but I don't agree that
I
it's
think
the
saying
best.
it's the best is a little bit of a stretch.
It's different, which is good. Like, I like the systems in place. I just don't like the game itself. Like, it's a good game, but it's not a great game.
Okay.
Like, it's a solid first attempt at the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
So you got
There's some like with the card mechanic seems like a thing that they could have like gone back to the well with.
yeah.
In some later games, but instead they abandon it basically for the
They-
monster summoning.
I just can't say it's the best Castlevania game because it's just super rough around the edges.
That's a bold statement to make because there's a lot of really fucking good Castlevania games also. Like that's a series where like I would accept any of like six or seven different answers to the question which is the best in the series.
I think the only one that's worse than this is probably the one that came after this. The second Game
Harmony
Boy
of
Advance one.
Dissonance? Is
Yes,
that
that
Harmony of
one is hands down the worst Castlevania
Yeah.
on or Metroidvania Castlevania.
Yeah. Castlevania 2 is the worst Castlevania game. There is no secret worst Castlevania game. I think there's probably a pretty good consensus that Castlevania 2 is the worst Castlevania
If
game.
I remember right, what was it? Harmony of Dissonance?
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
DS one, right?
It basically takes all the problems from this
Or-
and amplifies them to 10.
I'm sorry, that's the second GBA one. What was
I
what's the Sorrow game on DS called?
Dawn of Sorrow.
Dawn of
Because it's
Sorrow,
DS.
Right. And then there was another. What's the weird loot grindy one that we played on Xbox? 360?
That's another one with Inch, but I don't remember
Yeah.
what it is. That's the one I always forget because I always get that mixed up with the Game Boy Advance one.
Right. There's Harmony of. It's Castlevania HD. That was supposed to be the joke,
Yes.
but I don't remember what it's called.
You can look it up.
I would still like I would still kind of like to see a sequel to that game. Like that's another game that's similar to this one where like there's a lot of really cool things going on in it, but they really didn't nail any of them quite right.
Harmony of Despair.
Harmony of Despair. That's right.
I mean, I doubt they would ever do anything.
No.
like
Well, I
that
mean,
now.
Konami doesn't make video games anymore, so
They make Bomberman?
have you played that Bomberman?
No, because it's
So-
bad.
To get a Switch when it came out, Kurt had to get that Bomberman in was part of a bundle. It was the only way he could get one right off the bat. And so he brought that over to Anthony's house when I visited them a couple of months ago. And man, that is not a good Bomberman.
It's not.
It's a real fucking bad Bomberman.
I
Like-
saw they started revealing some more Bloodstained stuff the other day.
Oh, really?
Video game. It has some Castlevania-ass art in it.
Okay.
Like, the art literally looks like the fucking art from all the recent Castlevania games.
Fair enough. I mean, that's what people bought, right? When they gave to
I
that
can't
Kickstarter.
gotta wait for Bloodstained Harmony of Despair. It'll be grind game.
I know. When I saw that game in action, it looked okay. Like it didn't. Like when I saw like Mighty Number 9, for example.
Oof.
Right, that game looked rough right off the bat. Like you could tell that was going to have some problems. And
I mean, my big complaint with Bloodstained right now is it just looks stiff.
yeah,
but,
that's what I thought.
I mean, that's Castlevania, so
well, I mean, it's that stiffness. I feel like is just a trait of a lot of polygonal 2D games too.
yeah.
Like
Nothing will be like the 10,000 or whatever fucking number of frames Alucard had.
right, exactly. Like without that number of frames of animations, they just aren't going to look like that. Although, what's that game that you and Mike played a bunch of? The the roguelite Castlevania thing. What the hell is that called? The early access one.
Um,
Help me out. You know what
I
I'm
know
talking
what
about,
Dead
right?
Cells.
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells.
Yeah,
Yes.
like that game looks better to me than most polygonal 2D games do.
Well, that one is.
Right, it's 2D art and just
It's 2D art planted over a 3D model, if I remember right.
yeah.
So.
But I mean, even like this game looks more acceptable to me because like there's not a lot of frames of animation in this character. In fact, there's only like 2 or 3.
There's 3 frames of run movement. So I said it's very early. It's like why I can't like crap on this game so much, because it's clearly a first attempt at Game Boy Advance. Like it's trying to fit something that shouldn't be on the system into the system.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Music.
It has
kinda
really good
jam.
music.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the one thing I will say about it, even if Game Boy Advance music is bad.
I think Game Boy Advance music is totally fine if you have a decent pair of headphones. I think the Game Boy Advance speaker was. I mean, it's not as good as Super Nintendo music or Genesis music or whatever, but
There are some okay Game Boy Advance songs, but then once people discovered trumpets, that's when it all went downhill.
yeah, fuck trumpets.
Pokemon ruined the Game Boy Advance.
All right, fair enough. I think all 3 of the Game Boy Advance Castlevania games had pretty good soundtracks. I'm trying to think of any other memorable Game Boy Advance soundtracks, though.
This one likes to, if I remember right about this one, it uses a lot of inspiration from older, like, popular Castlevania games
NES.
and then remixes them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I know Bloody Tears is in here as a remix, if I remember right.
Although, I think by 2001, Bloody Tears was just in every Castlevania game.
Yeah. Like, this was sort of supposed to be like the nostalgia trip of like, hey, it's like classic Castlevania, but with modern Castlevania.
I definitely see what you mean about the level design.
Yeah, it's simple.
Uh-oh.
Like, compare it to something like the best comparison would probably be Aria. And, like, it's night and day.
Yeah. Right, having just come off of playing Aria, like, I agree with that. Where's he going? Oh, shit. Okay, I see.
Should use your flame whip. Does more damage.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, shit. I wasn't really ready to fight this boss. That's a pretty good death effect, though. Let's continue. I don't know when my last save was. I don't think it was that far away, was it? Yeah,
It's generous with the save points.
I just have to go back down and around through here. I really dig the wind up on the music too. It like starts with like a halftime version of the theme in here, and then it picks up with some like glockenspiel sound and stuff, and then kicks into the full-on fist pounding.
This is definitely one of the better tracks in the game. This one in particular. Like, every time I hear this, I have it stuck in my head for a while.
I don't want the dagger. Oh, fuck. But
It's a Castlevania-ass game.
yeah, I mean,
I want to say, I don't know if it was from particular cards or not, but I do know like some of them had like super moves you can do.
Yeah. You mean like Rondo of Blood style?
Yeah.
Man, it's a good fucking Castlevania game? Rondo of Blood. Yeah.
I'm looking at game facts now. Because I remember some of them had like really broken abilities.
Some holy water. I think that's what I want for fighting Cerberus. I guess that's as far as I can go. But I got holy water, so... Yeah, this run animation is 2 frames. I'm gonna go save the fact that I have this holy water.
Alright.
I'll try that boss fight again.
So I just looked up game facts thing on the card. It's all coming back now. So the top cards, the top row of cards is going to be the effect that you get from using it.
Right.
And the bottom cards are the element that happens with the effect. Right. So basically, like, if anytime you have Mercury equipped, it'll be your whip effect modifier, and then you can get like a water whip, a fire whip, stone whip.
Salamander is the modifier that I have.
Salamander is fire.
Obviously.
So those things.
I played Secret of Mana. I know how this works.
Yeah. So like the cards you can get are basically like one will affect your stats depending on what element you have. One will give you a protective shield against that element. One will give you familiars like Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But like you say, if there's a certain level of grinding that's required to get your hands on all that stuff, then that's kind of a bummer.
I believe this is being played on a Game Boy Advance emulator for the chat.
Somebody's asking. No, I have just a really good camera and a really bright light setup. This is Visual Boy Advance I'm playing this on. It's a hopper. It's not a hopper, it's a flea man. Come on. I guess it's not a flea man, it's a little different. He's got some kind of a weird chicken head.
It's a flea man.
It's not, he's got a weird red head. He looks like a rooster. Alright, I think I'm gonna fucking rock this Cerberus's world here.
Oh, you have holy water too?
Yeah.
Of course you will.
I'm not getting my fire whip. Okay, I can't be moving when I use it, I guess.
Yeah.
Whip him right in his dumb old wolf butt. Okay. Holy water, still good. Even after all these years.
So it's a Castlevania game.
Yeah.
You should try the cross.
It's not a cross, it's a boomerang. Jeez. I really love the wind up on this song. It's really good. A double received. Double jump.
Oh yeah.
You know I know this is a good video game.
Because it has a double jump.
It's got a double jump.
Chat wants to know if you're scared. Is this a spooky game?
It's pretty spooky. I'll try and get into some actual horror games.
It's got skeletons in it.
Yeah, and a Cerberus. He's pretty scary. It's a wolf with more than one head. That ain't natural.
It's pretty spooky that you're in a burning building, too.
I'm trying to think if any of the Castlevania games have ever been scary, but probably the scariest Castlevania-related thing would be would be the Nintendo Power cover with the creepy, like, red-eyed Dracula head, where Belmont's holding the Dracula head.
I'd say the scariest Castlevania thing is jumping too short on one of the NES games.
The scariest Castlevania thing is Medusa heads in any platforming section. Yeah.
So the clock tower.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I guess I can go this way now. Oh, man, these mummies, man. Look at all these sixes. That's pretty scary, right? If I can line it up right and get 3 6s on screen at the same time, the devil will attack me. Does this game have a store?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I think most of the stuff you find... No, I don't think there is, because I don't remember you getting gold. Like, you would be getting gold if it did.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, most of the stuff you find is just random drops.
What's our big dude's name in Aria of Sorrow, the store guy? He's not in this.
Hammer. No.
Hammer, that's right. It's Hammer time. Abyss Stairway. Some new
More
tunes.
questions from chat. What are you going to be for Halloween?
A Dracula? I don't know. I can't tell you the last time it was anything for Halloween. This is pretty good music too.
So I can turn on the sound.
Bing, bing, bing. Oh, I want this holy water. No,
I want to say this is a remake of... Like, this is one of the first, like, remade songs. Is this the water... Like, the underground water area from Symphony of the Night?
Maybe. I don't... It's hard with Castlevania because all of the Castlevania music has been remixed so many times.
Sinking Old Sanctuary from Bloodlines.
Okay. Oh, right. I can double jump.
Thank you, chat.
Does kind of have a little bit of a nautical tilt to it.
Yeah, this is what I was saying before, where a lot of music is basically taken from other games.
Yeah, I mean, that's, like I said, that's all Castlevania games at a certain point. There we go. It also feels really nice to be playing these games with a modern controller. Because for as much as I appreciate what, you know, Nintendo did, like, sacrifices have to be made when you're making a handheld system as far as ergonomics are concerned, because it has to be something that you can fit in your pocket or whatever. But playing these types of games with an Xbox One controller is just really fucking nice. I don't know which way I want to go here. I think this is about as far as I made it the first time I tried to play this game. Because there is something very repetitive about this level design.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of the corridors are just empty.
Yeah.
And it just repeats tile sets over and over. Like,
there's
one area...
that is somewhat out of necessity, right? Because that screen is so bad. Like, you can't have a lot of... A game like Symphony of the Night just wouldn't play on that screen because you would... I mean, it's difficult to see what's happening in this game, and it has a pretty simple architecture design, but something like Symphony of the Night would, like, you would lose where you were and where your enemies were constantly.
I feel like, just like looking at the level design now, they didn't really accommodate for the smaller screen either.
Yeah.
Because there are things that are just like off screen that you can't see until
the spears and the...
Yeah, spears, the skeletons.
It's a bonehead. Bonehead is not quite as intimidating as Bone Tower. Hey, look, it's a snake with a torch in its mouth and some more ramps and a tower climbing upwards. Man, this is... That's the audience room. I'm gonna fall back down. Oh, no,
Dracula is just very considerate towards the handicap.
all those ramps.
Got rid of all the stairs, replaced them with ramps.
But he's still Dracula, so you have to make a weird jump to get to the next ramp.
Your ancestor was like the crippled Belmont.
He's considerate, but he's still a jerk. I think I'm gonna keep this holy water.
I mean, he's always been considerate, like, since the first game, he's been putting meat around his castle in case he got hungry.
I think he was just trying to make jerky and then forgot about it. Alright, I'm gonna end this pretty soon. I thought Mike was gonna come and play some multiplayer games with us, but I haven't heard from him, so... But...
If only there was a way to get...
So now we have a slightly different background, and the ramps are slightly different shapes.
Yep.
I found some leather armor.
Hey, for all the... Like I said, for all the good things this game does, it's the worst part of it is the level design.
Yeah, it's a good thing there's a decent map, because I would just be completely lost, I think, without it. What's this? Oh, another thing I can't get through. Must be you find a thing that lets you break blocks at some point.
Yeah, I think you get like a shoulder tackle, if I remember right, that lets you do it.
That's where Chris Redfield got his idea
Yeah.
from. He played a lot of Castlevania games, and then...
I think it's the bosses.
the Triumph Highway, or Hallway, pardon me.
The bosses I think, are the ones that give you all your abilities. So, like...
Did I get something from Cerberus? Did I...
You got the double jump, I think?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was just a double jump. I thought...
Yeah, it's like they're either locked at the bosses or locked behind them. Like I said, I'm going off memory of playing this game, I don't know, like 10, 12 years ago, whenever it came out.
It's 2001, so 16 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, whenever the Game Boy SP came out is when I actually played it.
And yeah, you're probably talking like...
I owned it
years
when
ago.
it first came out, and I think I did the same thing where I got past the first level, and I'm like, I can't see anything on this.
Yeah. Oh shit, it's the hallway. It's one of my favorite things in all video games.
Zombie hallway.
Yeah. It's just a thing that's just, it's perfect. Like, never had to, it was perfect in the original Castlevania and every subsequent Castlevania that's ever had it. No, that guy's flame armor, so that's not doing much more damage, jeez.
I think this might be the only Castlevania that sort of had like a element system to it.
Oh, what system?
Just like the elements, like
Oh,
certain enemies are
fire
weak to
and-
certain elements and stuff like that.
There's a boomerang. I don't think I really want to be out here yet.
I want to say probably Aria Sorrow. This is literally ripped from Symphony of the Night, isn't it?
Yep.
Now, Aria, I think, had one too, but that was because of the whole soul system thing.
Was there elements in that?
I know there were elemental weapons, at least in the DS version there
Yeah.
were.
Well, I mean,
and
like,
some souls, like, you had the fireball
Symphony of the
souls.
Night has some elemental weapons, but it doesn't
But
really...
I don't think anything had, like, elemental...
Yeah, it doesn't really
effects.
come into play in the combat very much. I wonder, there might be some guys in the catacombs that are strong against fire, maybe.
Hmm.
Where you get I think you get an ice sword that's strong against those guys or something. But
this is like the forefront of this game.
Yeah, that definitely seems like one of the more interesting systems in this. Where should I go? Looks like I go this
Up the
way.
ramps, obviously.
Up the ramps,
You
down
gotta
the
go-
ramps.
Yep.
All these fucking ramps. I need a motorcycle. This would make a really good Trials game. I wonder if you could recreate the map from Circle of the Moon with one of the Trials map creator modes.
You probably can.
Oh man. That would be... Oh man, I fucking love Trials. If you could somehow mix Trials and Castlevania.
You have to go off the ramp and down the ramp and then jump over death.
Yeah. You have to hit the wall hard enough that you can ragdoll yourself into death. It's the only way to kill him. That's an attempt at making a painting.
Wasn't there a Castlevania game that had like skeletons riding motorcycles?
Yeah. Was
I don't remember.
Was that the Genesis one?
I don't know. I don't
Genesis
remember.
one has a lot of really dumb monsters in it.
I just remember there being motorcycle skeletons in one of the games.
Yeah. That might have been Symphony of the Night had some pretty weird monsters too.
I need to look this up now. Nintendo 64 one. That was it.
Okay.
Castlevania 64 had motorcycle skeletons.
Maybe those games are all right after all. I tried to play one of those for a stream last year, but they run like shit on the N64 emulator that I have. And honestly, I never played the second one, or no, I never played the first one, but I played like the second game has the first game in it, and then also like a second quest or whatever. And I had a friend who was way into that game.
I remember renting them,
but I could not. I couldn't deal with it.
I could never get past the second level in them,
yeah,
and that just frustrated the shit out of me.
They're very bad. They're bad in pretty much every conceivable way. They're bad third-person action games. They have bad level design. They're ugly. I don't know that there's much to say in favor of those games. I'm almost out of hearts. Outer wall. Whoop. Can I get up here? Skeleton bomber. Whoa. Electric skeleton. It's my favorite dance craze. The mid-90s, do the electric skeleton. Oh man. I guess I'll go boomerang. I kind of wish that anytime there's a map in any video game, I wish I could make annotations, and in this particular instance, I really wish I could do it so that I could write down where all the different sub-weapons are located. Because there are definitely times in any Castlevania game where you wish you had, you know, an axe or a fire holy water or a boomerang or whatever.
I really like
Oh my god.
I was gonna say I really like that in Spirit Tracks, the Zelda DS one.
Yeah.
Like
I never played that one.
It's okay. Like it's not a bad Zelda game, but it's not the greatest Zelda game.
What the fuck is this? What is this?
Castlevania Circle of the Moon.
That is not the thing that I'm referring to. It's a brain float.
Yeah.
It's a slightly less popular ice cream drink.
But that game allowed you to basically write on the map using the touchscreen.
Yeah.
So you could make your own notes or just like draw dicks on the map if you wanted.
Hey man, let me tell you about Etrian Odyssey, alright? I love those games. I mean, they're fine RPGs, but I really don't like them because you can do fucking awesome cartography.
There was an image going around about a week or two ago about what kind of person you are when you play Etrian Odyssey, and the first picture was finishing the wall and then putting the stairs past it, which is wrong. There was doing the wall up to the stairs, but not boxing the stairs themselves, okay, just having the wall on the sides, which is also wrong.
Yeah.
And then the third one was drawing the wall around the stairs, which is the only right way.
All right, I think I'm gonna end this stream here. I explored quite a bit of the map. I would have liked to have found some more cards and done some more experimentation with the DSS system, but unfortunately, I didn't get lucky with my drops. I was unable to find any of that stuff. But the fact that it might require some grinding in order to get my hands on any of that. I also feel like I've kind of been directionlessly meandering around, going up and down ramps. Look, some more ramps. Is this game just Excite Bike?
Yes. You got it. You figured it out.
I don't know. I still kind of want to recreate this map in Trials. Anyway, that's it for for this. I don't know. What was I calling this? The 31-ish Nights of Horror streams of horror. We'll be
Days
back.
of Horror at night.
Yeah.
That's the spookiest thing about them.
Yeah, it's nighttime. I'll be back tomorrow probably with something else. I don't know. Maybe it'll be something more actually frightening and not just something with a Halloween theme to it. But good night.
Good night.